Hello guys, welcome to this episode of Pho Your Mouth. When you think of Vietnamese food, the first thing that comes to mind is actually pho. Traditionally, our family get together and there's 20-50 people sitting down eating a good bowl of pho. Today I'm going to show you the ingredients that are required and basically show you the step that you need to do in order to make the perfect pho. Okay, I have the pot of water boiling right now, which is 10 quarts of water. So that's boiling, and I'm about to go add the beef bone into the broth and show you what you need to do with the other ingredients that are required for the broth, such as we need to roast the onions, the ginger, and the lemongrass. And then after that, the broth is done. Well, let's get started with the base of this dish, which is the beef pho broth. In this large pot, I have 10 quarts of boiling water. Okay, in the boiling water, we're gonna add 5 pounds of beef bones. Okay. Be very careful because it is boiling water. Add the beef bone into the water. And this is basically beef shank or leg bones. Okay.
Leg.
Okay, there's the last piece. Now that the beef bone is actually in the boiling water, what we're going to have to do next is actually a very important step. For a really good home cooked pho, we're going to have to roast our 2 medium onions and our ginger. Okay, so on a fire stove top, do use your tongs, add your ginger right on top of it and let it roast.
How much ginger?
This is basically a food stock, a root, which if I hold it up and I pick it, it's about 4 ounces. 4 ounces of ginger. Okay.
And how long do you roast it for? How do you know it's done?
What we're looking for is actually just to char the outside when it starts burning. This is going to take approximately between 5 to 10 minutes. Some of you guys don't have open fire stove at home. What you can actually do is just put this into the oven and roast it at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes. Okay, that's something that you might have to do. Right now, while it's doing that, then we're just gonna wait for about 5-10 minutes. I hope you were here with me right now because actually just this process already smells like pho. Just the roasting of the onion and the ginger, they should make a perfume out of this right here. I would buy it. Okay. So
I can smell it.
I remember as a young kid walking into the house, and when my mom is roasting the onions and the ginger, I knew I was going to get some good pho already. So this was the beginning of it all right here. While that's being roasted, I'm going to add the other ingredients. Basically the spices, the salt, fish sauce, sugar, and I'm going to tell you how much you need. Okay. You're going to need a 1/4 cup of fish sauce, again this is to add into 10 quarts of water. Okay, so a 1/4 cup of fish sauce, fish sauce is kind of already salty, so we're just going to use 2 tablespoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of granulated white sugar. Now this part, some people in the Asian market, they actually sell what they call rock sugar, and you know, my mom never used it, but I have heard other chefs use it. I'm just gonna go with what my mom taught me. So white granulated sugar, which every market has, that you won't have a problem finding. So 2 tablespoons of granulated white sugar. You can find this chicken bouillon at the Vietnamese or the Asian market. Over my time, I found that this actually enhanced the pho flavor. This is actually one of my secret recipes right here. So I'm going to actually put 2 tablespoons of chicken bouillon. Okay, and the chicken bouillon is basically almost everything that we added in there, but it has hydrated beef, chicken bone, chicken meat. So it adds another dimension of flavor. It has the same salt, sugar, MSG. So I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of chicken bouillon. And finally, of all the sugars, salt, spices, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of MSG. Now, everyone's probably going, wait, I don't eat MSG. This part is actually optional. Again, in the chicken bouillon, if you ever cook with chicken bouillon or other ingredients, read the ingredient. They already have MSG. So right now, I'm just adding additional MSG. Again, I'm following my mother's recipe. If you don't want to put MSG, what you can do is exclude this out and then increase the amount of sugar and salt that you want to put in. What I would recommend, if you take the MSG out, just add an additional tablespoon of either salt or sugar. Okay?
Oh, gotta watch that.
15-second rule? No, I'm just kidding. I'm done with the tablespoon, so we're just gonna put that into the sink. Alright guys, well, I could really smell the aroma of the charred onion and ginger. I'm just gonna flip it around so that both sides could be charred and roasted. Again, this part, remember to use a tongue. It is open flame. In my college time, I had to use the oven, which I found it worked really, really well. So if you're at school right now studying and you want to boil pho, use your oven. We never use our oven for some reason. Use it for something. Okay. So right now, it's looking pretty good. You don't want it to burn. Okay. You just want to basically get the essential oils, get the flavor to condense and get it concentrated, and it's gonna do the rest. Okay, so if I show you, this is about how you want it to see it. Okay, if you look at it, it has the char outside. Okay, we're gonna add this also to the pho broth. Again, 2 medium onions, or you can use 1 large onion. Okay. I'm going to turn the back part off, and then this is how the ginger will look. Okay, so you see, if you can smell it from there, you see the vapor. Okay, so this is the ginger. I'm going to turn off the back stove. I'm going to add the 1 stalk of lemongrass. Okay, what you want to do is actually take it and try to bend it. It's actually pretty hard. Bend it, get that essential oil working, okay? And then we're gonna basically add that to the broth also. Now, the last part is the spices, okay? Well, what I have here is 3 cinnamon stick, 5 cardamom, 1, about, I say, if it was grinded, tablespoon of licorice. One tablespoon of clove. And then a quarter cup of star anise, okay? Star anise seed. Again, this part is also important. You want to roast your spices so that essential oil can open up, release all that essential oil. You want to move. You want to toss it so it doesn't burn. If you leave it there, sitting, it's going to burn, okay? There's not much oil in there. We just want to get that oil to open up, okay? You saw it as it heats up. Some of the clove actually is going to pop. It's going to jump out of the pan, so be very careful here, okay? We're really cooking. That's the real thing. We're actually cooking, and I'm actually showing you my famous mother's recipe with pho. You can use a tongs and stir it if you like. This is a non-stick pan. So it's going to take about, again, just like we're roasting, 5 to 10 minutes. Once you start smelling the spices, you can stop right there. You don't want to go any further because if you smell it too much, it's actually burning. So just the first smell that you can get to, you're going to want to stop, okay? And then we're going to add that to the pot. Okay? I can actually smell it. You see the vapor coming up, the oil is actually burning. So now we're just going to take this whole pan and we're just going to drop it right into the pot. Okay. Alright guys, well, again, we're doing the pho broth. This is actually going to take 4 to 6 hours, okay? Depending on how hungry you are. If you're really hungry, I'm pretty sure you're going to stop at 4 hours. But if you actually have the luxury and the time, let it cook to the 6 hour. The longer it cooks, actually the better it's going to taste, okay?
On full boil?
Actually, that's a great question. I'm about to simmer this, and I'm going to turn the fire down to about medium, and just let it simmer, okay? And it's going to simmer for the 4 to 6 hours, all right? Since it's working right now, this is passive cooking. You have time to do, again, your chores, your laundry, go wash your car, go play with your kids. It's really important to spend time with your kids. But actually, since we're cooking, we have to go back and basically prep the rest of the other ingredient, get the noodle hydrated, cut the beef, and then get the garnishes ready. So when this broth is done, all we have to do is assemble. And it actually doesn't take that long once this is done. Okay, let's go back and get the garnishes done. Alright guys, so now that the broth is doing its magic, working over there for the next 4 to 6 hours, we're gonna get ready to prepare the rest. This is dry noodle, pho noodle. When you go to the Asian market, you're gonna find a lot of different brands. What I find is the brand doesn't really matter, but what's more important is actually the size of the noodle. Okay, so I'm gonna open the bag up and show you. The thickness is actually, this is kind of like a linguine. It's a medium size. What happened is that this holds, texture, and then at the same time it's still chewy and firm. Okay, I find that the small one, when you pour the broth on top, it tends to break and it's like eating, porridge. So I prefer the medium. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a pot. I'm gonna open up 2 bags, which is 16 ounce per bag. Okay, each bag should serve 4 people. Okay, but we're cooking to serve 8 today. If you have some leftover, you can make other dishes with this. I tend to make, pad thai with the leftover noodle, or I can make, other soup. But if you don't use it, then you can always refrigerate it if you're going to use it within 3 days. If you don't use it within 3 days, then basically you want to freeze it. When you refreeze it, and when you cook pho again, you take it out and basically you rehydrate it again. Okay. Okay. So I have it in the pot here. I'm going to grab some water. Now this is not cold water or hot water. It's actually warm water. Okay. You want to have enough water in the pot to cover all of the rice noodle. You want all the rice noodle to be able to touch the water so it can rehydrate. It looks like this now, but wait until you see it rehydrate. It's going to actually look like this fresh noodle. Okay, so I'm going to move the pot on the side.
How long do you soak it for?
Because it's warm water, you can leave it in there for the whole time you're waiting for the pot of broth. So 4 to 6 hours is okay. In about, I say 2 hours, it's actually going to be rehydrated already. Since the water is not hot, it's not cooking the pasta at all. So the noodle is actually perfect staying in the water. You can strain it immediately, but I'm going to show you later. When we're done with the broth, that's when I'm actually going to strain it. Okay. Now that the noodle is actually rehydrated, we're going to get the garnishes and the toppings all prepped. So later all we have to do is just assemble it. Okay. I have some green onions. Some people call them scallions. It's just fancy name. I call them green onions, leaf green onion. What you want to do is just take the root end off. And then now, all you're going to do is just cut it into small pieces. You want it really thin. Use your knife skills. Let your knuckle guide the knife and let the knife do its work. I just sharpened this knife not just about 30 minutes ago. It's really important to have a sharp knife when you're cutting. A dull knife is actually when most people cut their hand. Okay, so just use your knuckle and guide through. I actually have to take a little bit more time with the white end because it's thicker, and I just don't want to cut my hands. So I'm going to keep on doing that. So here we go. There's the green scallion. I'm going to save 2. Okay, with these 2, actually I'm just going to use it as a garnish also. So now we dice the green onion. Then now we're going to take 1 bunch of cilantro. When you go to the Asian market, or you can even get this at a regular supermarket, for $2 a bunch, you get this much. Okay. At the Asian market, you get this much. At the American market, you might get this much. Let me pull it apart for $2. So I like to go to the Asian market for this reason. Okay. So find a local Asian market. There's a lot of great stuff there. Meat, seafood, vegetables. They're much cheaper there. So I'm going to do the same thing with the cilantro. What I always do is actually put this all together and mix it together. It is an option because some people don't like scallions, some people don't like cilantro, some people don't like red onion. Put it in separate Tupperware, okay? But in this household, our family, we all eat the same thing I cook. So whatever I cook, they have to eat it. So if this is a great way for making them eat their greens. Some of them don't like onion, but you know what? Since they live with me, they actually love it now. So this is the best way to do it. Okay. Okay. This is 1 large red onion. I basically cut it in half. Before I even cut into the red onion, I'm going to ask An, can you grab me that candle right behind you?
Oh, we're going to get romantic.
No. This is actually going to help the process. The reason why I lit this candle is actually I learned over my time is that when you're cutting onions, red onion, green onion, white onion. Y'all notice I was starting to cry because onions do that. If you light a candle, actually it helps a lot. The vapor when you're cutting coming off the knife, the fire is actually burning it all away. So that's the reason why you're crying. What I do with the red onion, I just peel it, cut the ends off, and now I'm just gonna run it long way, okay? Not horizontal, vertical, because onions are already segmented. So if you cut it properly, they're just all gonna fall apart, okay? So I'm gonna do it vertically, okay? And this is how it will come out to look. So you want your red onion to look like that, okay? And now I'm gonna put my red onion into it. We're just gonna set that aside, a red onion. I'm also gonna get some lemon. For 8 people, you probably need 2 lemons. Some people like tangier food, so you might need more. But again, a good pho, if it's great, you shouldn't have to add much to it, okay? I'm just gonna cut this into quarters. And then I'm gonna put it here. Okay. So in this basket, what we have is actually the other garnishes. You'll notice I didn't even cry. It was because of the candle. So we have bean sprout, basil. Actually, I'm about to cut this scallion for the garnish also, and lemon. This is optional. Thai chili, and personally, I love habanero. Okay, I'm actually not going to cut this yet. Okay, all right. With the leftover 2 pieces of scallion, what you want to do is actually just evenly cut them in half, and it's just for decorative reasons. And we're just gonna slice it, making it look leafy. You wouldn't even recognize it was scallions or a green onion. Your kids would eat this. So it looks just like this. Okay. A while ago, the table was filled with all sorts of stuff. But as you notice, once we start the broth going, and once we did our garnishes, there's really not much left. Okay. Besides the hoisin sauce, the sriracha, the garnish that we're gonna put on top of our pho. Okay. So what I need to do next is actually clean this cutting board, get my meat cutting board, and basically show you how to cut the meat, and then we're done. Alright, so now we have all garnishes done. What we're gonna get into is actually cutting our meat. This is actually 3 pounds of eye of round, okay? At the butcher, when you purchase the eye of round, they actually clean it for you already. So they got all the silver skinning off, all the fat. So basically, it's just a large loin looking piece of beef, okay? This is 3 pounds, so for 8 to 10 serving, you can use 3 pounds. My mom have always used the eye of round traditionally at my house, so I continue on with that tradition and moved on. But my other friends, they have used ribeye, they have used filet mignon. I guess they're just rich, right? So here, I'm trying to survive, so we're gonna stick with round of eye. It's usually about $2.99. The highest I've seen it is $3.99 a pound. So it's really good, and again, it's a lean cut of meat, okay? There's no fat on this, so it's actually really healthy also. So what I'm gonna do now is actually show you how to cut the meat and get it ready when the broth is done, okay? So on a meat cutting board, what you wanna do, okay, is just cut this into half, set that aside, and then now cut it in long way, half again. The reason why you want to do this is, before I do that, you notice that the meat is easily rolling around, right? We need to create some type of stability. So cut it in half. Now you have a flat surface where it's just gonna stick. It can't roll no more, okay? Again, how you handle your knife is really important. Safety is really important. So against the grain, here's the grain is running this way. Against the grain, we're gonna slice our meat. This is a good piece of pho beef right here, okay? It's about 1 millimeter thick. The reason why you don't want it too thin is because when you pour the broth on, it's actually gonna cook the meat and it's gonna become dry. If you cut it too thick, then it won't cook at all. You kind of want it one millimeter is, once the broth is poured on, it's actually medium to medium well. That's actually good beef, okay? So 1 millimeter thick. Well, welcome back, guys. 4 hours have passed. I just got back from the gym, had a good workout, did some laundry, and we're gonna finish off the pho. What I did was I took out the bones from the pot behind me, and basically you see this, all the bones on the plate, and on the bone there are a lot of good meat on there that you should not waste. There's the tendon, there's the cooked meat. So what I did was I basically took the bone out and I separated the meat to a separate bowl, and we're basically just gonna discard the rest of the bones, okay? So I'm gonna get rid of that off the counter. And then I'm gonna basically now show you how to skim the soup pot to get rid of any excess fat and any impurities. And then we're gonna put together a bowl, how it should look, and then I'm gonna show you how to also put the garnishes together, and then basically we're gonna enjoy a really good bowl of pho, especially today when it's cold, okay? So what you wanna do is use a ladle. There's a lot of fat floating above on top, and I started off already, and right now what we wanna do is get rid of the rest of it, okay? So you just wanna skim the fat off the top and the impurities, okay? You don't want to take away a lot of the broth. So just work around it slowly. Okay? And basically, this is what I got up from the top. This much was removed, okay? So as you can see, this is basically all of the fat from the beef coming out. This is really good flavor, okay? Remember all the seasonings and the spice that we had in the pot. A lot of the flavors is attached to the fat above. So you don't really want to throw this away completely. Some people like to put this on top of the pho also, which I will use a little bit to garnish a little bit on top of the pho, okay? So I'm gonna put this aside. And then now, what we're gonna do is blanch and get the noodle ready, okay? You want 4 ounces of noodle. This is how the noodle looked after we rehydrated it, and I drained it. So now we want 4 ounces of noodle, and I'm just gonna cover this bowl. This is a microwave safe bowl. Make sure you use a microwave safe bowl, and put this in the microwave for 1 minute and 15 seconds, okay? Depending on the microwave, we have a pretty good commercial microwave, industrial microwave. If you have one of those small miniature microwave, you might want to do for at least 1.5 minutes. After 1 minute and 15 seconds, if you remove the saran wrap, this is how it would look. It would have shrunken down a little bit. The noodle is al dente. And we're gonna basically now put the pho together. Okay, so I garnished the bowl with some rare beef. Okay, this again is the eye round. I cut it 1 millimeter thick, okay? Since we have this really good meat off the bone, why don't we use some of that and just put a few also into the bowl, and then we can have that. So I'm gonna wash my hands so I can put the other garnish on, okay? So now what you want to do is also get some of the green onion and cilantro mix. Top it in. Some people like a lot of it, some people don't like too much of it. I say, you know, just 2 spoons is great. This is how so far how it looks. Then put some red onion in. Remember the scallion that we chopped up? This is a great garnish, so we could do that. Okay? So basically this is how you would prep your bowl before you pour the broth in. Okay? Now, all you gotta do is, this is red beef. All you gotta do is take the broth, pour it on top, and then basically you're gonna cook the beef, okay? So all you gotta do now, the broth is boiling, grab some, pour it on top. It's just 1.5, which is about 1 pint, okay? That's your pho, okay? Now I'm gonna show you what to put on it. These parts are optional, like I mentioned a while ago. In Vietnam, basic pho is just this, okay? You don't get the bean sprout, the basil, the lemon, and all that. So what you want to do now is just basically mix it up a little bit. You can see the beef now is actually cooked, medium to medium well. Maybe grab some basil. Depending on how much you like basil. Some people love basil, so they put a lot more. Some bean sprout. Bean sprouts are very refreshing. When they're fresh, they're very crisp and crunchy, so you could put a lot of that. I'm just gonna take a little bit, quarter wedge of lime, squeeze it in there. What I always do, especially when I go to a restaurant, is I always want to taste my pho first, because every restaurant is different. But since you're cooking at home, you're going to be very consistent if you follow the recipe, but you always want to taste the pho first. That's really good pho, okay? So, myself, I love spicy food. All I'm going to use is a little bit of sriracha. So I'm going to put a little bit of spice in there. I love spice, so I'm going to put extra spicy. And I'm going to make also a side dipping sauce, which is really just sriracha on the side and a little hoisin sauce. Hoisin sauce is basically Vietnamese barbecue sauce. It's, soybean paste, sugar. It's just made into a paste. You notice I didn't put any in here, okay? Again, if you like this a lot, it's very sweet. If you like sweet soup, then you basically put more in, okay? So I'm just gonna put a dab just for color, not much. Mix my bowl up. Smells so good. You guys need to really try this recipe out, okay?
What do you dip in that dipping sauce you made?
The dipping sauce on the side, all I'm gonna do is actually just grab a piece of meat, dip it, put it back on my spoon, make it a perfect bite. A little bit of noodle on the top. If you're not good with chopstick, use fork. Don't be afraid. Don't be embarrassed. That is perfect. So, guys, thank you for joining us with this episode of Pho Your Mouth. I hope you try this recipe out. Make this at home. You can freeze it, reheat it, eat it tomorrow, 3 days later. I have some in my refrigerator right now, actually, when we're speaking about it. Invite some friends over. This could serve 8 to 10 people. So come back and see us for the other recipe, and we hope to see you soon. You guys like some?